I'm joined by Devin McCrae. He's a partner at Early Sullivan Wright, Geiser McCrae from Los Angeles as well. Look, there's a lot of angles here. Let me just start with the release of these secrets and all these things from the corporate standpoint first. Where do we go with that? Is this the new normal that we're facing, or do you think this is just a real isolated incident?
Well, I think at the moment it's an isolated incident. When have you before had a hack attack by a nation state that's foreign, designed to prevent a commercial release of a movie? But certainly the other studios are looking at this and questioning whether they have adequate IT protection in place. So I think the immediate focus is going to be on the adequacy of IT security, and if you're in that industry, you could expect to be quite busy.
You have been called a super lawyer in the past. I'm scared of normal lawyers, so I'm a little intimidated by all this. Companies, they're watching this. You're there in Hollywood. Look, nobody wants to make a controversial film, but isn't that what Hollywood is known for in making controversy? And this takes it to really a new level. Are companies going to, first of all, how are they going to protect themselves from all these hackers? I mean, this is not really what they do, but they're faced with the consequences potentially of offending somebody.
Well, the hope then is that they protect themselves through their security as opposed to watering down the content of their expressive materials, because I think the expression that free expression gives rise to a significant cultural value and an economic value. And so the hope would be that this doesn't affect the content of movies that are made and the decisions that are made by the studios about what movies to produce or not.
I'm sure you and I have seen the same media reports of some of the actors involved in some of the leaks asking media officials, asking the media to stop talking about the leaked documents, telling websites to stop releasing social security numbers and birthdays and obviously very sensitive information. What do we do with that?
Well, the precedent that exists right now would suggest there's not much of a basis to stop the media from reporting information that's been hacked that is a matter of public concern. So that's what the focus or inquiry would be in these cases is what is the media revealing? And if it's a matter of public concern, the fact that a third party stole that information is not going to take away the shield of the First Amendment for the media.
And we have precedents, right? We forget about there's a gentleman by the name of Edward Snowden that had some documents. The media didn't have an issue talking about that either.
Right. Well, and there is a 2001 Supreme Court case called Bartnicki v. Vopper, and that was a case in which a radio broadcaster aired a cell phone conversation between a teachers union president and a top union negotiator. And that call was intercepted by somebody other than the broadcaster. And the broadcaster was sued, and the court said that it was protected by the First Amendment because it was a matter of public concern.
There are already lawsuits out there now, former employees suing Sony. If you were advising Sony on this matter, I mean, I can't imagine what's happening in their crisis room, but what advice could you possibly give Sony at this point?
Well, I think the immediate emergency is to figure out what information completely has been stolen and whether there's other information that still hasn't been stolen that can be prevented from theft. And then as far as an active lawsuit, the lawsuit's been filed, and the issues in that lawsuit are really going to center around whether Sony had exercised reasonable care in preventing that type of attack. The fact that it was by a foreign nation state and that it's unprecedented would favor in Sony sort of avoiding liability if it can show that the security it had in place was compliant with prevailing standards of care. And you know, the other studios look around and they say, well, Sony's a subsidiary of a major tech company, and it should sort of be on the forefront of appropriate preventive measures.
Devin, very quickly, the latest news, we mentioned this earlier, Sony's scrapping the launch completely for this movie, and I'm wondering how much of the legal liability, if there is one, in event a theater releases the movie and something bad were to happen, did that have a role in getting that whole thing canceled?
I think it had to have a role, because if even though the threat doesn't appear to be that credible according to the reports of today, if after the fact something did happen, there might be a strong claim against the theater and potentially Sony for going forward with the movie.
This story sending shockwaves throughout Hollywood. Devin McRae, thank you very much. Lawyer, super lawyer, joining us from Los Angeles.